During my internship, I saw people having traumatic brain injuries and they need to do surgeries to let the brain swell. The reason they are doing two surgeries is that they have to remove about half of the skull to let the brain swell freely. And after that, they close the skin. Patients must begin the rehabilitation. And after that, patients have to come back in the surgery room to undergo a second general anesthesia and to have their skin reopened and put back the bone flap in place. So when I saw that, I was like, is there something that we can do to just combine the two surgeries?
Welcome to NGBiLab, a podcast about innovators and disruptors who are creating the next generation of companies in Canadian life sciences. Hi, I'm Jim Wilson, and my guest today is Simon LaPointe, who's the founder and CEO of EncephalX, a medical device company based in Sherbrooke, Quebec, that was created at the intersection of innovation and clinical need. The team at EncephalX are focused on redefining outcomes for patients suffering from traumatic brain injury and stroke. Their flagship product, the Dynamic Cranioplasty System, or DCPS, is designed to replace the current two-step surgical intervention with a safer single-procedure solution. What stood out in my conversation with Simon is his discipline. He did not rush towards a solution. In fact, he spent months studying this problem before deciding there might be an idea around which to build a company. Before we get to our conversation, I'd like to let you know this podcast is part of Next Great Big Ideas, Canada's Life Sciences Summit. NGBI is a national networking event for Canada's life sciences community, and we invite you to attend. For details, please go to nextgreatbigideas.com. This episode of NGBiLab was recorded in 2024. So our guest today is Simon LaPointe of EncephalX. Simon, welcome to NGBiLab.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation.
I'm looking forward to our conversation. And I would appreciate knowing what problem it is you and your team are trying to solve.
Yeah, absolutely. So if I can say it in like one sentence, what we want to do is we aim to improve the quality of life of patients treated for intracranial hypertension by combining the two standard surgeries into only one intervention. So basically, this is what we want to achieve, and we develop a new product to help to do so.
And this is cranial operations, correct?
Yes, exactly.
Where did this idea come from?
So, not me. I did my bachelor in mechanical engineering, but at the end of my bachelor, I was approached by a neurosurgeon that was developing a new kind of internship. Basically, what he wanted to do is to introduce to future engineers problematics in hospitals in the surgery room, and what he was aiming to do is that when those future or now engineers will be hired by, let's say, Stryker or Medtronic, they will know better what it is, the reality of professionals in the healthcare system. So I was the second internship in this new program. So the neurosurgeon, which is Dr. Christian Morin, invited me to see neurosurgeries at the hospital he is working, so at the CHU of Florimont. And well, I was able to see a lot of neurosurgeries, and during my internship, I saw something really interesting about traumatic brain injuries. And after that, we wanted to work specifically on that problem, and the project began.
So you're an engineer by training.
Yes, exactly.
And you're spending time in an operating room watching cranial surgery from accident victims and whatnot?
Yes. So after car accidents and after falls, and yes, this is not the typical thing for an engineer to see, but it is really interesting. So I was not expecting that when I first started my bachelor, but I would be crazy to not take this opportunity.
And forgive me for asking, but at any time did you think, no, this is not for me? like being in an operating room, or did you have to push through that emotion or just the sight to focus on the work at hand?
Yeah, so at first you don't know really how you will react to like blood and seeing like the interior of a body. So
Right.
it is something that you don't know before you see it. So I was not able to know what I would be expecting. So in fact, I found it really interesting. And I mean, seeing all the activities in the surgical room, it is so interesting. So yeah, it is something that I was really interested in, and it is why I am also motivated to work on this
Wow.
problem.
So when was the company founded?
So the company was founded in 2020
Okay.
during COVID. Yeah.
And how many people are on the team?
So right now we are five that is working at EncephalX. We are four full timers, but the fifth person is Christian, which is still working on the project with us.
So are you the sole founder, or are you co-founders?
So this is a little bit complicated because me and Christian, we founded the company. But when I founded the company, I mean, the legal way in 2020, it was doing his internship in Toronto. So his fellowship, excuse me. So he was doing his fellowship in Toronto. So I kind of lost him for 2 years. And during that time, I founded the company. But he was still like working with me. He was still there, but physically was not there. So let's say in the legal status, I'm the only founder, but technically I'm the founder with
Right.
Christian. Yeah.
Okay. So you were made aware of this problem and you were invited into an operating room. How much time did it take for you to think, yeah, there's something here? Like there's a business here. There's an opportunity here.
So I think it took me the entire internship because during this internship, I took this time to correctly understand the problem. So at first I was not thinking about the solution. I was only thinking about the problem itself. So to be able to bring a solution, I needed to correctly understand the problem. So this first 4 months on the project, I was just focused on the problem itself, and I was just in the surgical rooms watching patients being treated, and just identifying what will be the problem and how can I bring something like new and useful to help those patients.
Hi, it's Jim. We're going to take a short break, but when we come back, Simon explains how an engineering internship involved spending time in hospital operating rooms watching doctors perform brain surgery. Stay tuned. I'm Jim Wilson, and you're listening to NGBiLab, Canada's life sciences startup podcast. If you're not aware, the goal of this podcast is to promote Next Great Big Ideas, Canada's Life Sciences Summit. NGBI is an independently organized, not-for-profit fundraising event in support of McMaster Children's Hospital in Hamilton, Ontario. MacKids is one of the top critical care pediatric hospitals in Canada, and it serves families and patients in need from Niagara through Norfolk, Haldimand, Hamilton Wentworth, Halton, Wellington, Waterloo, and north to Grey County. The hospital serves a catchment area of over 2 million people, and the care they provide helps save lives every day. If you have the financial ability and the interest in supporting a great cause, we hope you'll consider supporting MacKids. For more information, please go to hamiltonhealthsciences.ca/McMaster-Children's-Hospital. Now you know our why, and we appreciate your support. Let's get back to the show. And I'm probably representing many of our listeners right now thinking, okay, you're not a doctor. You don't have medical training, but you're working on this medical device. You don't get much more intimate than working on the brain. And now we're not on the brain, but around the brain.
Yeah.
Wow. To have the confidence to see that and think, yeah, this is something I'd like to take on without that medical knowledge is really cool.
Yeah, for sure. But I have to say that after my internship and after my mechanical bachelor, I did a master in bioengineering. And during this master, I was able to develop like the abilities to correctly work on this project and I read a lot of papers and I did a lot of research during that master to develop everything I should know before starting to work on this project.
So you've got this instrument under development. Who is your target client?
So I will say that at first we were oriented towards traumatic brain injuries, but like I said, our device is for intracranial hypertension, and there is other problems that needs that kind of treatment, like strokes and other type of problems that you have in your brain. So, like I said, during my internship, I saw people having traumatic brain injuries, and they need to do surgeries to let the brain swell, and which is the reason they are doing two surgeries is that they have to remove about half of the skull to let the brain swell freely. And after that, they close the
Uh,
skin. Patients must begin the rehabilitation. And after that, patients have to come back in the surgery room to undergo a second general anesthesia and to have their skin reopen and put back the bone flap in place. So
huh.
when I saw that, I was like, is there something that we can do to just combine the two surgeries? And this is where our device started its development, is that we were able to think of something, a new implant that will be able to follow the brain herniation and to follow the swelling of the brain. And with that, you don't need to do the second surgery.
Hmm.
But our device is so efficient that we are not only looking for traumatic brain injuries, but all type of problems that can bring intracranial hypertension, like strokes.
So you've got what sounds like an amazing business opportunity at your fingertips.
Yeah, well, the future will be able to see if it is a super great a business opportunity. But frankly, I think yes, there is no other type of implant on the market actually. So I think it is something really interesting for us, and there is a lot of opportunities other than cranial for cranial intervention.
Hmm.
So
And you're based in Sherbrooke?
yes, exactly.
Why?
So because I studied here, and there is an interesting community here in the startup field.
Yeah, it's really cool. I'm just learning about it. Sorry to interrupt, but it like for those who have not looked at Sherbrooke, they should.
Yeah, yes, exactly. So there is a big startup community here in Sherbrooke, and there is a lot of
Yeah.
institutions that are helping those startups to develop, like incubators and even for funding. So there is a lot of opportunities here.
So can you walk me through your development commercialization process?
So we are a company that wants to develop new products and to do the commercialization. So you got it right. We are not a research center. What we want to do is to bring new products to the market. So the first step is just to look at the problem and see if there is a product that could help the treatment of those patients. So it was the case for the intracranial hypertension. So we developed the implants. So we are doing the R&D internally inside EncephalX, but we are also doing research activities with the University of Sherbrooke. So with those two entities, what we are developing is a new partnership to develop new products. And what we do after that is we are working on the certification of those products and trying to fund the commercialization activities and clinical trials. So
Huh.
those are the steps. Yeah.
And what has your entrepreneurial journey been like to date? Is it what you expected?
No, I was really not expecting, I mean, nothing because I didn't know what the entrepreneurial way will be. I mean, there's a path for every entrepreneur that is all different. So this is something really interesting because I'm working on my own path and I'm pretty sure it is completely different than my colleagues. So this is something really, really interesting and motivating because you're working on your own journey. So there is a lot of obstacles, but what is really interesting is the fact that the community is really really strong, and there is a lot of people that wants to work with you and to bring those crazy ideas to the market and to help a lot of people. So this is really beautiful to see.
Have there been many people who have offered you guidance and kind of taken you under their wing to show you the ropes?
Yes, exactly. So there's a lot of entrepreneurs that sold their businesses or other experts in the community. And when they see that there is an entrepreneur that it is really motivated by its company and the problem that he wants to solve or she wants to solve, there is a lot of people that are just giving their time to help those people, because I think they're doing it for the mission and the impact of those innovations. So a lot of people that helped me to date, I didn't even pay them because they just wanted to be part of this journey and to help me and the products and the company to help patients.
Hi, it's Jim. When we come back, Simon talks about what it will take to move from development into commercialization. Stay with us. I'm Jim Wilson, and you're listening to NGBiLab. We hope you're enjoying today's show, and if you are, please tell your friends about us on social with the hashtags NGBI, NGBiLab, and NGBI Summit. You can find us on social wherever you get your pods, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any future episodes. Thanks so much. Let's get back to our conversation. Welcome back. It's Jim Wilson, and my guest today is Simon LaPointe, founder and CEO of EncephalX in Sherbrooke, Quebec. So, where are you on your journey today?
You mean as an entrepreneur, as a company?
As an entrepreneur, as a business, yeah.
So right now we're in our pre-commercialization phase. So we are still working to bring to the market our product. And as an entrepreneur, basically what I want to say is that I'm still learning. This is the kind of job that you're always learning. And what I want to do and what I want to achieve is bring a business to something mature and have products on the market. But I don't think like EncephalX will be the last thing that I will bring to the ground.
Yeah.
Of the ground.
Can you stay in Sherbrooke and accomplish that goal, or do you think you have to move to Montreal or elsewhere?
This is a good question. I mean, I think I could stay in Sherbrooke, but you don't have to be on a day-to-day basis stuck in your city. This is something really important. So yeah, I'm working a lot in Sherbrooke, but I'm also a lot in Montreal, in Boston, and I'm always moving around for events and other type of activities that can show that our company is bigger than Sherbrooke.
So you're in Sherbrooke, and it dawns on me you're pretty well located geographically to be running between Montreal and Boston.
Yeah.
Where's the company going to be in 2 years? Like as a company, where will it be in 2 years?
So in 2 years, what we want to achieve is that we want our product to be on the market. So we want to complete our clinical trials and to have first patients treated with our device. But not only that, we want to show that our technology is not only for its first target. We want to show that this technology can be modified to help other type of patients. So this is something that we want to do, is that to show that EncephalX is not only a one product company, but there is a lot of opportunities with this new technology.
So what do you need to get there?
So like a lot of startups, we need a lot of money. But other than that, we want to continue to build strong relationships with our community and a lot of people that are important in the sector, like funds, VC, institutions. So we want to continue to build those relations. And basically, it will help us to bring and to accomplish this vision.
You're very, very early in your entrepreneurial journey, but I'm wondering if there's any advice you would give to people who may be listening, just maybe in the midst of their undergraduate or graduate degrees and thinking, gee, I wonder if I could do this. What would you tell them?
Well, I think it's to use your community. There is a lot of people that are there that wants to help. They can support you. They can bring and introduce you to new people. So I really think something really important is don't hesitate to approach even like CEOs of other companies, and you're writing an email and you're like, hey, I'm a student, I'm looking for this innovation. And a lot of them will respond, and because they will be interested in helping someone else and be part of a new type of innovation or problem. So what I'm trying to say is that don't be shy and reach out to people, and a lot of them will help.
That's very good advice. Thank you for that. And thank you for your time. I've really enjoyed learning more about your company and your journey, and I'm looking forward to future announcements. This is very exciting.
Thank you.
That was Simon LaPointe of EncephalX in Sherbrooke, Quebec, and I'm delighted to let you know the company announced the closing of a $2.25 million pre-seed round in January this year. To learn more about the work Simon and his team are doing, please go to encephalx.ca. That's ENCEPHALX.ca. If you'd like to follow this show and our other podcasts on social, we are at NGBI Podcasts, and you can learn more about the NGBI Summit at nextgreatbigideas.com. You can also learn who I am and what I do when I'm not hosting podcasts at jim-wilson.ca and laboccupier.com. I'm also on social at laboccupier. This episode of NGBI Lab was researched by Xenia Pinto and edited by No Limit Marketing. If you'd like to get in touch, email is always best. My address is jwilson@Leonard, that's LENNARD.com. Thanks so much for listening. See you next week.